Hi, welcome. In this video, I want to take a few minutes to talk about what a person's default kind of position should be, or what their focus needs to be on. And here I'm talking about specifically dog trainers, those who identify as force-free, those who identify as balanced dog trainers, and their followers. But what should their focus be on before even coming on to my YouTube channel to leave disparaging comments, okay? Questioning, like, my method at all. Like, what should be their first kind of focal point? Well, their default setting or their focal point should be to look around the dog training world. And again, this is where I would encourage you to watch my Flipping the Script series first, and ask yourself the question, like, are all these things happening, all these controversies, all these things happening, are they all symptomatic of a greater problem here? Are they all pointing towards something? And the question is, like, what is that something? Okay, and I talk about that. You know, I talk about, if you look at all the inherent problems happening in the dog training world, you know, you'll start to understand and see that, well, there's something happening here, and this is all connected. Like, it's not some sort of random act or something just coming out of nowhere. These things keep happening over and over and over and over again. But here's the issue, okay? And I talk about this. You know, these trainers and followers and individuals coming in, and they got a lot to say, but on a just wanting to launch into personal attacks. Is these individuals have already decided to identify their identity, right? Identify as a certain group. It could be, it's balanced, force-free, those are the big groups. And the question is, well, once you do that, what does that actually mean? Okay, well, it means that you've come into agreement with something, right? You've come into agreement with this very idea I'm talking about is the source of the problem, that training is a learning-based exercise. So you've come into agreement with that. And then on top of that, you have this support system, and it's totally superficial, and it's as fake and phony as you can get. But you have this support system, you have these groups, and they're large groups of these trainers, force-free and balanced, who even come up with their own, like, associations and things like that. So they have these large groups of people who all are like-minded, right? They all agree that this is it. Like, they got it all figured out. And then, all to say, then you're in trouble, okay? I mean, that's what I'm saying. Then you got a real serious problem on your hands, because, you know, to even suggest that these individuals are open to looking at what the real issue is, okay? That's a joke. Like, to even pretend that these people are interested in, you know, confronting the real problem is so beyond ridiculous that people need to give their head a shake. I mean, you know, ultimately, it's ridiculous. And so, you know, when I talk about, you know, the culture, okay, you look at just what has happened here, and all these lines being crossed, and it's so easy, social media, and these trainers have just taken a hold of this idea, and as individuals, okay, they have not looked around like they should have looked around from the beginning as an individual, say, hold on here a second. You know, there's what's going on? Like there's something wrong. And these trainers, these individuals, they never did that. So, and I talk about this, just because something's popular doesn't automatically mean that it's true. And then if you start to break this all down and look at, okay, we got all these, you know, groups that you got the force-free, you got balance. They're all just marketing. They're, you know, pumping out this idea. They see popularity now a certain way. They're making money, right? But now they're engaging in levels of blame shifting on the dogs. Okay, like this is part of the package. Do you understand that that's the way it has to go down. Like once you understand what this idea represents and how, again, in terms of what it sets in motion within the framework of responses, and this is why when I put out this question, and understand this is the question that not a single trainer out there, balanced or force free, all these individuals that have plastered all over their social media that they're dog training experts. Like, just go look at it. But go on to my social media, find the word expert, how many times I have it on there. I don't think I have it on there at all. But if anyone, okay, is in a position to call themselves an expert, it's me, okay? But you don't see me doing it. In fact, you don't even see me, with trophies in the background marketing that way. I could do that, but I don't for a reason. I talk about that stuff. But here's the question I put out is like, what are these trainers? Because the question is still hanging out there. All these trainers that can't answer it. What criteria are they using to establish that the perceptions of dogs are changing the way that they assume they are, based on how they're superficially motivating dogs to respond in the middle of a relationship problem? Like, what's their criteria? And at what level are the perceptions changing? What are they using to establish that? That's the question. Well, they're not, okay? I'll answer it for everybody. Okay, it's all based on on assumptions. That's it. So if you even get into these trainers who are they talk about rewarding a dog in a neutral state, okay, and I talk about, hold on here a second, what are you even using to establish that's a neutral state? I mean, you're dealing with a relationship problem. These dogs are expressing control, stinking think. You see it all over the place. And so when you look at the videos of these balanced dog trainers, they're not dialed into that at all. I put out several videos. But then think about the parenting example. Just take it over to the parenting example and just common sense. Connect some dots here. Like, why are you going to a trainer in the first place? Well, you're dealing with a relationship problem. The behavioral issues that are happening, right? But then pay attention to your dog. When your dog's out on the leash, watch the head swivel, the level of investment, fixation, right? Control manifesting everywhere. And these trainers aren't dialed into the relationship that way at all. But think about the parent example. As the selfish child gets more and more selfish, what happens? Contaminates everything. They don't have, a good way to think about, their environment, other people, right? And you see that. So I talk about an express state. I even talk about the role of influence, in terms of intercepting versus changing focus, right? Shifting focus. See, there's so much confusion out there, and these trainers, they're totally superficially focused. They can't answer that question, and that's the first question they should be able to answer. That's their entire foundation, but they can't. So, all to say, when I talk about the default setting of these trainers before they even come into ask questions that they can't even answer anyway, they just leave these lame comments, and should be looking around the dog training world, say, well, we got a problem here. Like Houston, we got a problem. But they can't do it, and they won't do it because it puts them in a position they're not going to go. People have to understand that because they've already made their decision. They're already sold out. They already made their choice. See, that's what people have to understand. Years ago, I didn't do that, right? I didn't do it. And so, I said, let the chips fall where they may. It is what it is. And if we really care about dogs, this is what, a process is. I talk about influence and control, how they're reconciled. And now so that's when these trainers come in and they look at what I'm doing and they want to paint they want to start to label. They want to make all these comments, instead of actually applying critical thinking. Because if they apply critical thinking, they'd say, they would take everything on the dog training world over here and say, okay, this is a mess. Okay, look at all the problems. I mean, is it really all the dog's fault here? Like, what's going on? And all the infighting, all the stuff going on. Okay, now let's go over and let's audit this properly, right? And see, this is the thing, these trainers, and I talk about the journeys of these trainers, how they end up in a certain place from, a appearance level where they say, oh, I don't like all that. Oh, I'm just going to go this way. So it's a joke. So, I would encourage anyone that's looking to go on the dog training world is, apply critical thinking. Why don't you take some time off social media? Well, you need to go on social media and watch videos, but go back on my YouTube channel from over 10 years ago I just released a whole bunch of videos. Go start watching them before you leave a comment. Apply critical thinking. But look at the dog training world. Why don't you spend like a lot of your time there first? All these people are contradictions. They're all over the place. They're just, blame shifting. I mean, go spend your time there and try to control your emotions first. Don't get all caught up with these like these trainers do. It's all emotion first. No, actually look at it and start to connect dots. Consider context. Consider a lot of stuff. But I put it all out there. It's not like everything's hidden. I put it out in the silver platter. Take that. Go in the dog training world. So this is what I would tell people to do. And so if you want to leave a comment after that, that's great. I'll answer it. But people wonder why I'm banning people, and I have no time for it. Because the dog training world's in a mess. And these people, of all people, right? So here's the thing. The people that should be saying nothing, right? They should be spending time. They're the ones that want to just say everything, right? And that's how the world works with people, right? They want to spew off, make all these comments. So all to say, I'm good. Like, I'm going to keep putting out information. I continue to help people the right way. But understand, when you deal with social media in the dog training world, that's a whole different monster that's going on, and things are getting worse. I mean, and these trainers, this is incredible. These trainers are so dishonest because they won't even consider the mess. They won't. They're so dishonest. They're dishonest with themselves. They're dishonest with the public. They're dishonest with the fact that they pretend to care about dogs. They're so dishonest. That's the bottom line. Thanks for watching.